Getting grayer. The elderly will soon make up a third of the population in more than 60 countries, according to the United Nations. But even in wealthy nations like the United States, many seniors don't get the care they need. Let's go to Andy Gallagher in Florida for more. Andy, how tough is it for seniors in the U.S.?
Well, just take a look at behind me. This is one of the largest food warehouses in South Florida. This serves about 3 counties in this area, and they regularly serve about 150,000 seniors each and every day. About 1 in 7 seniors in the United States suffers from poverty. And we met one senior on the streets of Miami who really highlights how bad the problem can be.
Reminiscing about days gone by.
It's very glamorous.
It was wonderful. We walked home back to the streets of Paris in the middle of the night. It was fun.
Life for 77-year-old Mary McGrory used to be a glamorous affair, but for the last 3 years she's been living alone on the streets of Miami in her van.
The porta potty should go under there, but I have to have a carpenter arrange that, do it for me.
We're first going to serve the handicap and then everybody else by number.
Like thousands of seniors in South Florida, Mary depends on handouts from churches and charities. She receives a few $100s a month in social welfare payments, but it's not enough for a safe place to live.
I sold my house because I couldn't pay the taxes, pay the gardener, pay everything. My mother did. But when she passed on and gave me her house, I began to realize that I couldn't afford it.
At one of Florida's biggest food banks, the problems of North America's elderly population are all too familiar.
You have to pay your rent, you have to pay your medical bills, you have to pay your utilities, and somehow, some way, you have to put food on the table. There's really not a lot of programs to help them in their golden years.
It's thought that about 1 in 7 seniors in the United States struggles on a daily basis, but getting hold of food isn't their only challenge. Increasingly, it's the rising cost of medical care that is forcing more and more people into poverty. Mary tells us she can't even afford basic medication, despite the fact she has skin cancer. And living like this isn't helping her chances of moving on.
I want to get into an apartment, but a friend of mine pointed out to me that if I have to be decontaminated, and my dog, before we even go in the apartment. All my stuff has to be de-ticked.
Mary faces an uneasy future, but it's one that many in her generation are now being forced to deal with.
So Mary's is a fairly extreme case, but not unusual. There are a fair amount of seniors in Miami, I'm told, living in cars, some even living in storage compartments where they keep things like furniture. But here to help us answer the questions about just how bad it is for seniors is Brian Felon, who is from Feeding South Florida. Brian, just how bad is the problem with poverty in seniors?
The problem is extreme. Right now we have so many seniors. You're looking at that 1 to 6, 1 to 7 number. And the seniors built our society. They built this economy. They built everything, and yet they happen to be forgotten about. We have seniors who will go out and spend money to buy tuna fish to feed their pets, first and foremost, and then they buy dog food or cat food to eat themselves. They struggle every single day. They have health issues. Their Social Security can't keep up. They have so many issues, and food seems to be forgotten about. That's one of the last things, and it's dire.
We know in this election that medical expenses and what happens to Medicaid and Medicare is a big issue with both candidates. How big an issue is it on the coalface when elderly people need medication desperately?
As far as the medication, food banks do what they can and our agencies do what they can to try and support the elderly because their situation is so dire. There's a lot of people that they have to make judgments on, do I pay the electric? Do I get my medication? Do I get food? And they have to prioritize decisions that they never should have to. It's shameful, and it's horrible that they have to do such a thing.
One report I read said that the number of seniors suffering from poverty has increased 78% between 2001 and 2010. Now, this is the richest nation in the world. Should we be shocked? Does it shock you?
It absolutely shocks me. It absolutely does, and we should be shocked. We should be appalled. And that the seniors are living like the Mary that you spoke about, that living in a Volkswagen van to try and get by, and that she can't get enough help. And we do what we can to try and support as many people in poverty as we can, and the seniors are in dire need. They need our care and they need our concern.
Brian, thank you very much. So all day here at Feeding South Florida, various agencies will pull up to the docks here, pick up things like bread, canned meat, food, very basic items to help feed seniors in this part of Florida. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Andy. Andy Gallagher in Miami, Florida for us. Let's get some more news now.